Alright, so to get started on the Tamiya build, this time the M05 chassis. I jump to it quick, get it out of the box. If you guys haven't seen, I do have an unboxing video, so you can check that out and go more into detail on our parts. Alright, so dump it all out. And we'll figure it out as we go here. Alright, so first here, break everything out of the bag. If at all possible, I try to keep everything on the part trees, because sometimes you have stuff that looks a lot like other stuff without having the numbering and the lettering that's on that parts tree. Might have a hard time figuring it out. So the big bulky stuff there, just pre-cut like the chassis. So first of all, we're going to start off with the battery tray as well as the brace. 2 screws gets that locked up. And this is a little bit different than most setups that I've had. It's a chassis, 2 half pieces. Alright, and that being the rear portion. So here we have a retainer piece for the rear shock tower. So I'm going to add those 2 screws to hold that brace in. That'll come into play a little bit later when you tie the half together. And what I'm doing here is I'm mirroring the first half that we started with. So this is going to be the opposite side. I'll drop the piece there. You got the brace as well as the battery tray, which should fit in together. And now the next portion here is the cover, which is going to block off where the motor is going to be mounted to. Alright, so now for the internal gearing. Alright, gather all our pieces here and start putting together the front diff. So here we have the 3-pin spindle. Add 3 spider gears. Throw that in there, grease it up, make that obvious. Last build you couldn't. Sorry, and on the opposite side is going to be a bevel gear. Close it off with the outer portion of the diff. We have 3 screws, closes that up. Alright, so like I was saying, that's the rear half, which ties in, the rear portion, which ties in both of the side halves. So 2 screws holds that into the chassis with the brace. Now we're ready for the internal gearing. So we have 2 spindles, grease those up. And we have 2 of the long gears, which would connect directly with the motor. Opposite side to that, you're going to add the diff, throw some grease, a bearing, close up the halves. Alright, so that's nice and smooth. Ready to close everything up here. We have 6 screws along the side that close everything together. Now we're just going to start putting together our A-arms. Now for the upper portion, which is just going to be a ball link. Put that in place. Now here we have a knuckle, add the bearing, throw in the axle shaft, dog bone, sorry, dropped the part, dog bone, and just screw in the knuckle assembly, pop in the top ball, and you're done there. So now on to the steering bell crank. 2 screws gets that into position. Now just got to snap our links into place. The front's done. We're just going to add the front retainer piece. There's some bumper portion of things. That ties everything up on the front. So now for our shocks, screw at the bottom and screw at the top. Remember to add those spacers in there. Alright, so now for the rear, same thing. We're going to add our A-arm. Now up top, it's going to be a little ball and a link. Get that into place. Now on for the lockouts. So here you can add the axle half before or after, it doesn't really matter. They usually end up sliding off until you get the hex hub. So added the shock tower. And throw the spindle or the axle half in there. And as you can see, it keeps falling out. Alright, we found it. Throw it back in. Add our shock and mirror that off camera, and the rear is done. Alright, so now for the drive pins, you add the hex. Snap that into place, and we are almost ready for our tires here. Tires on. I'm going to finish everything off with the battery posts, or sorry, the tray for the battery, which has posts. Screw that into place. And there's a retainer that just pushes through. We add some body clips to hold that together. And finally, we have the body posts. The rear screw from the side, and the front go in the front. Very distinctive. Much smaller up front, a lot taller in back. And that's our little electronic tray. 2 screws gets that onto the chassis brace. And here we're going to slow things down and get up close here. If the camera will ever focus. These black chassis on my background are hard to get, but we got it here. So we're nice and clean. We're in up close. Very simple layout. My first front wheel drive kit. Pretty pumped about that. Shocks will be getting upgraded. A lot of this will be getting upgraded. If you follow the channel, you know that's what I'm about, right? Build and upgrade. So for now, bone stock plastic chassis. Not sure what electronics we're going to throw in there, but that's going to be another video coming soon, I'm sure. It's starting to get cold in my parts here, so we want to make sure we hit the ground running before it starts to snow on us. Alright, they're out of focus again. We get a lot of glare on that, that chassis. Sorry about that. Very nice. Should have mentioned those are some of the smallest tires I've ever seen. For a 1/10, might I add. Alright, so let's throw the body on so you guys get a look at that. It is unpainted. I did trim out the wheel wells. Body posts were trimmed or cut from the factory, so a little snug. You see I have a little bit of a hard time wiggling things into place. And without the inner stoppers on the posts here, it's not going to be a exact lineup, just a quick mock-up. I'm going to be going with a blue and white paint scheme for this. White top, blue bottom. And we're going to add some decals on it, as always. So guys, thanks for watching. Please thumbs up and subscribe.